Welcome back, everyone, to another unbelievable journey into the world of rare and valuable coins, where small pieces of metal carry massive stories and unimaginable fortunes. Today, we're exploring the fascinating and truly extraordinary tale of one of the rarest modern coins in American history, the 1990 D Liberty 1-cent coin, a coin that has become a legend not only among collectors but also among historians, investors, and dreamers alike. Imagine finding a simple penny in your change that looks perfectly ordinary but turns out to be worth $26.5 million. Yes, that's right, a coin with a face value of just 1 cent, made of ordinary copper-plated zinc, suddenly becomes a multimillion-dollar treasure because of a series of mysterious minting errors and remarkable circumstances that make it truly one of a kind. So sit back, relax, and prepare to be amazed as we dive deep into the story of how this tiny coin from 1990 became worth more than mansions, yachts, or even small islands. This is not just a story about money, it's a story about history, luck, and the incredible possibilities that can hide inside the most ordinary things we see every day. The year was 1990. The world was on the edge of a new decade. Technology was changing rapidly, music and culture were shifting, and in the heart of America's coin production centers, the mints of Philadelphia and Denver, billions of coins were being struck for everyday use. The Lincoln cent, a staple of American currency since 1909, was being produced in vast numbers. It was small, simple, and familiar, featuring the timeless image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side with the word liberty to his left, the date of issue below, and the national motto, "I in God we trust," above. On the reverse was the Lincoln Memorial, a tribute to one of America's most respected presidents. By 1990, everyone had handled thousands of these coins without a second thought. But deep within the Denver Mint, among millions of ordinary strikes, something extraordinary happened, something that would forever change numismatic history. A small handful of coins were struck under unusual conditions, resulting in minting anomalies so rare and unexpected that only one coin would eventually surface, showing the full combination of errors that made it priceless. This is the coin that would later come to be known as the 1990 D Liberty 1 cent, worth $26.5 million. At first glance, the coin looks like any regular penny from 1990. But when examined closely under proper magnification, the details reveal something far from ordinary. The first and most visible anomaly lies in the mint mark, that tiny D located beneath the date on the obverse side of the coin, which indicates it was minted in Denver. Under normal circumstances, the mint mark would appear clean, well-centered, and uniform. But on this coin, the D appears to have been struck twice, slightly offset, creating a ghost-like shadow underneath the main letter. Experts call this phenomenon a repunched mint mark, or RPM, and it occurs when the mint mark is punched into the die more than once in slightly different positions. In earlier decades, such errors were somewhat more common, since mint marks were manually punched onto dies by hand. But by 1990, the U.S. Mint had largely switched to automated processes, meaning that an RPM from that era is almost unheard of. Yet this coin not only displays an RPM, but also features another error layered on top, a faint doubling visible in the date and inscriptions. When the words "I in God we trust" and "liberty" are viewed under magnification, there is clear evidence of doubling, where each letter shows a faint outline or shadow, indicating that the die itself was struck twice out of alignment. This type of error is known as a double die, and when it occurs in combination with a repunched mint mark, it produces a unique and breathtaking result. But that's not all. The coin's metal composition also raised eyebrows. Standard 1990 D Lincoln cents were composed of a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper, weighing 2.5 grams. However, metallurgical testing of this coin revealed unusual characteristics. Its weight was slightly higher, at around 3.1 grams, matching the older copper alloy cents last produced in 1982. This suggests that the coin may have been struck on a leftover bronze planchet that somehow made its way into the mint's presses 8 years after production had officially switched to zinc. Such an occurrence would be almost impossible under normal mint conditions, yet history has shown that stray planchets from previous years occasionally slip through the system. When combined with the visible minting errors, this composition anomaly pushes the rarity of this coin to near mythical levels. Now imagine the odds of all these factors coming together at once: a leftover bronze planchet from 1982, a die with a doubling error, a repunched mint mark, and a perfect strike. That combination is astronomically rare, and it's what gives this particular coin its mind-blowing value. The coin's condition is equally important to its story. Unlike most coins that enter circulation and quickly pick up scratches, dings, and wear, this one remained in pristine mint state condition. Its surfaces are flawless, its luster bright and even, and its details razor sharp. Experts who examined it under magnification described it as being in near perfect condition, the kind usually reserved for proof coins or special strikes. This led to speculation that it might have been part of a special batch struck for testing or internal examination, which somehow escaped the mint. Others believe that a mint employee noticed its strange features and quietly saved it from destruction, unaware that it would one day become one of the most valuable pennies ever discovered. When it first surfaced in the numismatic community, it was treated with curiosity and skepticism. Many collectors thought it was simply a well-preserved 1990 penny with minor imperfections. But as professional graders and experts began to study it more closely, they realized that what they had on their hands was something far more significant. Each expert confirmed the combination of rare characteristics: the repunched mint mark, the double die features, and the off-metal composition. The coin was then sent to one of the most respected grading agencies in the world, where it received an uncirculated grade with an additional note for multiple striking anomalies. That authentication was enough to ignite a bidding frenzy when the coin was finally put up for auction. At the auction, the atmosphere was electric. Collectors from around the globe had gathered, knowing they were about to witness something historic. The bidding started modestly, but it quickly escalated as word spread that this was not just another error coin, it was a once-in-a-lifetime find. Within minutes, the price had soared past hundreds of thousands of dollars, then millions, until finally, the hammer came down at an astonishing $26.5 million. The crowd was stunned. A 1-cent coin, once intended for everyday use, had just become one of the most expensive coins ever sold. But what makes this story even more fascinating is the mystery that still surrounds how the coin was produced. The Denver Mint in 1990 was equipped with advanced technology and strict quality control measures designed to eliminate exactly these kinds of mistakes. Double dies, misstruck mint marks, and off-metal planchets were supposed to be detected long before coins ever reached circulation. For a coin like this to exist, several unlikely events had to align perfectly: perhaps an unnoticed leftover die, an old planchet from a previous batch, and just the right combination of mechanical pressure during striking. Some experts have theorized that during the transition of die maintenance, one die intended for testing may have been accidentally used in production. Others think a mint employee might have replaced a die too soon after heat treatment, causing slight shifts that led to doubling. And as for the bronze planchet, it might have been left in a feeder tray or mixed in by accident during a test run. Every theory adds another layer to the coin's intrigue, but none can fully explain how all of these factors converged in one coin. What's certain is that the coin's discovery reignited passion among collectors for modern Lincoln cents. Before its appearance, most people focused on older pennies, the wheat cents of the early 20th century, or the key dates like the 1909 SVDB. But this coin reminded everyone that even recent coins can hold incredible surprises.
My dear coin collectors, now we go to another unbelievable and truly fascinating journey into the world of rare coins, where ordinary pennies turn into treasures worth millions, where the smallest details create enormous value, and where one tiny mistake at the US Mint can forever change the destiny of a single coin. Today's story will take you deep into the mystery, rarity, and incredible value of one extraordinary piece of American history, the 1-cent Liberty 1995 Lincoln penny, a coin that has stunned collectors and historians across the world with its unbelievable worth of $22 million. Yes, you heard that right, a coin worth only 1 cent when it left the mint, now valued at an astonishing $22 million because of the remarkable errors, unique minting mistakes, and rare characteristics that make it unlike any other coin ever produced. Imagine for a moment reaching into your pocket and pulling out a penny, something so simple, so common, something most of us barely notice. Now imagine that same penny turning out to be worth more than luxury cars, more than mansions, more than an entire lifetime of hard work. That's the incredible story behind this 1995 Lincoln cent, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance but hides a world of mystery and value beneath its copper surface. Let's go back to the beginning, to understand how this extraordinary coin came into existence and why it's now one of the most valuable coins in the world. The year was 1995. The U.S. Mint was busy producing billions of coins for everyday use, including the familiar Lincoln cent, a design that had already been in circulation for decades. The Lincoln penny, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, had long been an American icon. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin featured Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, facing right, with the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date. The reverse showed the Lincoln Memorial, a design added in 1959 to replace the original wheat ears. By 1995, billions of Lincoln cents had been minted across the country, mostly at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. These were routine production years, and the U.S. Mint prided itself on precision. But even in a system as carefully managed as the Mint, errors can happen. Machines can slip, dies can shift, and in rare cases, these tiny mistakes create coins that are completely unique. The 1995 Liberty 1-cent coin that became worth $22 million was one of those miraculous mistakes, a coin that defied logic and changed the way collectors viewed modern minting. It started as an ordinary penny, struck in copper-plated zinc, weighing just 2.5 grams, with the small letter D beneath the date marking it as a Denver Mint production. But when examined closely, this coin revealed something extraordinary. The first thing experts noticed was the doubling on the obverse, a striking double die error that made the inscriptions on the front appear as if they were stamped twice. The words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" show crisp, clear doubling, especially on the letters B, E, and R of Liberty and on the phrase "In God We Trust." The doubling is not caused by wear or damage, it's the result of a die misalignment during the hubbing process, when the master hub impresses the design into the die. If the die receives two impressions that are slightly misaligned, it produces a doubled image that's transferred onto every coin it strikes. But what makes this particular 1995 Lincoln penny so extraordinary is that the doubling is not only clear and strong, but it is paired with an extremely rare mint mark irregularity. On this coin, the Denver Mint mark D beneath the date is slightly tilted, and under high magnification, it appears to have been punched twice, with a faint shadow of the first impression visible just below and to the right of the primary one. This repunched mint mark RPM is something that was supposed to have been eliminated by the 1990s when the mints switched to more automated engraving processes. Finding such an error on a 1995 coin was almost unthinkable, and yet, this penny proved it possible. The combination of a double die obverse and a repunched mint mark makes this coin unique. There are other 1995 double die pennies known to collectors, especially from the Philadelphia Mint, but this Denver version, with such a perfect doubling and an RPM, is a one-of-a-kind anomaly. Experts believe that during the die creation process, an experimental or transitional hub may have been used, and that the die was not properly aligned when the mint mark was applied, leading to this perfect storm of errors. What's even more incredible is the condition of the coin. The $22,001,995 D. Lincoln penny is in pristine, mint state condition, flawless, lustrous, and free of scratches or wear. It's believed to have been one of the first coins struck with this particular die, meaning the details are sharp and full. The surfaces gleam with that bright, fresh mint shine that collectors dream of. Grading experts gave it a near-perfect rating, confirming that it had likely never entered general circulation. When this coin was first discovered, no one realized what they had. The story goes that it was found in a roll of newly minted pennies obtained directly from a bank in the mid-1990s. The person who found it noticed the unusual doubling on the lettering and decided to have it appraised. At first, the coin was thought to be just another 1995 double-die penny, valuable, yes, but not life-changing. However, as more experts examined it, the combination of the RPM, die state, and pristine condition led to the realization that this was not just any error coin, it was something truly unique. Word spread quickly among numismatists, and soon, this single penny became the talk of the coin collecting world. It was submitted to professional grading services, photographed, studied, and authenticated multiple times. Each time, the results were the same: a genuine 1995 D. Lincoln cent with a double die obverse, a repunched mint mark, and flawless preservation. There was no other like it. When the coin eventually went to auction, collectors and investors around the world were ready. The bidding started modestly but soon skyrocketed. The excitement was electric. Here was a coin from the modern era, something minted in the lifetime of most bidders, yet as rare as the great classics of numismatic history. By the time the final bid was placed, the price had soared to $22 million. This was more than just a financial transaction. It was a moment that symbolized the beauty of imperfection, the power of chance, and the incredible world of hidden treasures. A simple penny, something millions of people handled without a thought, had become a masterpiece of history. But beyond the auction, beyond the headlines, the story of this coin carries a deeper meaning. It shows how the tiniest details can have the biggest impact, how a small error can create something extraordinary, and how history hides in the most unexpected places. The 1995 Liberty Lincoln penny stands as proof that even in an age of technology and mass production, human oversight and mechanical unpredictability can still create miracles. The double die error on this coin was caused by a subtle shift between the hub and the die during production. When the master hub impressed its design onto the die, it was slightly rotated or offset before the second impression, creating that doubled effect. Normally, such dies are caught and destroyed before being used, but every once in a while, one slips through, and that's when magic happens. In the case of the Denver Mint, where this coin originated, the addition of the repunched mint mark made it even more special. The D mark was slightly off-center, showing two distinct impressions, one lighter and one darker, adding another layer of rarity. Experts also noted that the coin's planchet, the blank metal disc used to strike the coin, showed microscopic differences in its copper plating thickness. This suggested it may have been struck during a transition phase or using experimental materials. All these factors combined created a one-of-a-kind piece that could never be duplicated. Over the years, this coin has become a legend among collectors. It's not just its value that makes it famous, but its story. It represents the thrill of discovery, the idea that something so small and common could hide a fortune. It inspires treasure hunters, hobbyists, and everyday people to look more closely at the coins they handle daily. The fascination with the 1995 Lincoln cent also lies in its symbolism. My dear coin collectors, now we are going to another fascinating and exciting video where we uncover the hidden stories behind ordinary-looking coins that have turned out to be worth unimaginable amounts of money. Today's topic is going to leave you completely amazed because we are going to talk about one of the most surprising coins in American history, the 1995 D. Lincoln 1-cent Liberty penny, a coin that most people might overlook as just another common cent in their pocket change, but one that has shocked collectors and experts with its extraordinary value. Imagine a coin worth only 1 cent by face value, suddenly becoming a rare treasure valued at $21 million. It sounds unbelievable, but it's a real story that connects history, minting errors, and the mysterious beauty of imperfection that makes this coin one of the most talked about rarities in the world of numismatics. Let's begin by setting the scene back in 1995, a year when millions of people used pennies daily without thinking twice about them. The Denver Mint, one of the key coin production facilities of the United States, was operating at full capacity, producing billions of coins to meet the needs of the American economy. Among these were the familiar Lincoln cents, carrying the image of the 16th President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, whose face had been featured on the penny since 1909. The 1995 D. Lincoln penny, marked by the small d below the date, might seem completely ordinary at first glance, but hidden among the countless coins minted that year were a few that carried secrets: minute errors, flaws, and variations that would later make them priceless. The value of this coin didn't come from gold or silver content, because by 1995, pennies were made primarily from copper-plated zinc, with very little intrinsic metal value. Instead, its worth comes from something even more special: the combination of its unique minting errors, its historical context, and the fact that so few coins like it exist. When collectors and experts discovered these differences, they realized they were looking at something that transcended ordinary production. This was not just a coin, it was a story of craftsmanship, chance, and a perfect storm of mistakes that created one of the rarest pennies ever known. Now, to understand why the 1995 D penny became so special, we need to look at the process of minting coins. Each coin begins as a blank metal disc called a planchet. The U.S. Mint uses massive machines that strike each planchet with great pressure using engraved dies that carry the coin's design. When everything goes right, billions of perfectly uniform coins are created. But sometimes, even a small misalignment or a mechanical slip during this process can create a minting error, and in the world of coin collecting, errors are pure gold. In the case of the 1995 D. Lincoln penny, several types of minting errors and die varieties have been reported, each contributing to the coin's mystique and skyrocketing value. One of the most famous errors associated with the 1995 Lincoln cents is the double die variety, where the design elements on the coin appear to have been stamped twice slightly out of alignment. While the Philadelphia Mint produced the most famous double die examples that year, a few rare Denver Mint specimens are believed to have shown similar doubling on letters like Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and sometimes even the date. When collectors began noticing these coins under magnification, they realized that the doubling was not just a common mechanical issue but a distinct die error that made these coins stand out from billions of others. Imagine holding a small copper coin in your hand and noticing that Lincoln's profile seems sharp, but the lettering above his head appears shadowed or duplicated. To a casual observer, this might look like a printing blur, but to a numismatist, that subtle doubling means everything. It means that this coin was struck from a die that was engraved twice at slightly different angles, a mistake that should never happen but occasionally does when human precision meets machine power. This simple anomaly transforms a 1-cent coin into an artifact of history, worth millions to the right collector. But doubling isn't the only possible error that gives this coin its astronomical value. The Denver Mint was known for its high-speed production methods, and sometimes, planchets or dies were misaligned during striking. Off-center strikes, where the design is not perfectly centered, can create visually stunning coins. If part of the coin's rim is blank while the rest of the design remains visible, that off-center error can make the coin worth thousands or even millions depending on severity and rarity. Some collectors believe the $21 million 1995 D penny combines multiple errors: a double die, an off-center strike, and even minor planchet imperfections that make it one of a kind. Another error type that fascinates experts is the wrong planchet or transitional metal error. This occurs when a coin is accidentally struck on a blank meant for another denomination, like a dime or a foreign coin. In these rare cases, the penny could be smaller, lighter, or even made of a slightly different metal composition. If a 1995 D Lincoln penny were struck on a dime planchet, it would appear thinner and have a silvery tone instead of the usual copper color. Finding such a coin would be like finding buried treasure, one of those impossible mistakes that defy all logic but somehow slip through the mint's quality control system. Collectors are also drawn to coins with die cracks and cuds, where parts of the die break or chip during production, leaving raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin surface. These imperfections not only prove the coin's authenticity as an error piece but also make each coin unique, like a fingerprint. A 1995 D penny with a dramatic die crack running through Lincoln's portrait or across the date could easily attract a bidding war among collectors eager to own something completely one of a kind. Now let's talk about the human element, the collectors and enthusiasts who make this coin so valuable. In the world of coin collecting, demand drives price, and when a coin gains fame for being an error or a rarity, collectors from around the globe compete fiercely to acquire it. The 1995 D Lincoln penny's fame grew rapidly as word spread across numismatic communities about its possible doubling and unusual minting features. It wasn't just another coin, it became a symbol of how small mistakes in production can lead to monumental discoveries. Professional coin grading companies like PCGS Professional Coin Grading Service and NGC Numismatic Guarantee Corporation play a huge role in determining a coin's value. They examine coins under magnification, confirm their authenticity, and assign a grade that reflects their condition. A 1995 D penny with visible doubling or striking errors in near-perfect condition, what collectors call mint state 69 or mint state 70, could command astronomical prices. In fact, when error coins with this level of preservation appear at major auctions, they often break records. One can imagine how this particular coin, now valued at $21 million, must have been preserved almost perfectly since the day it left the mint. Perhaps it was part of an uncirculated roll that remained sealed for decades, or maybe it was set aside by someone who noticed something unusual about it long ago. Over time, as its rarity became known, it evolved from a simple piece of currency into a priceless artifact, drawing attention from collectors, historians, and even investors who see rare coins as long-term stores of value. The story of the 1995 D penny also connects deeply with the legacy of Abraham Lincoln. For over a century, Lincoln's image on the penny has represented honesty, hard work, and humility, values that resonate across generations. It's poetic that a coin bearing his likeness, once meant to symbolize the simplest form of currency, now stands as a rare masterpiece worth millions. It's a reflection of how history, art, and imperfection combine to create something beyond measure. The composition of the 1995 D penny adds another layer of intrigue. Since 1982, U.S. pennies have been made from a zinc core coated with a thin layer of copper. These two metals interact over time, sometimes causing subtle color variations, bubbles, or blistering on the coin's surface if the coating was applied unevenly. Such physical differences can be the result of production issues at the mint, and certain examples from 1995 show unusual color tones and surface textures that suggest minor metallurgical inconsistencies, details that further enhance collector interest. My great viewers, we are diving deep into the story of one of the most unbelievable treasures ever discovered in modern American coinage history, the 1996 Lincoln 1-cent Liberty penny from the USA, a coin that has become legendary for its rarity, its mysterious minting errors, and its unbelievable value of over $17.5 million. Yes, you heard that right, a simple 1-cent coin, something that most people would pass by without a second glance, turned out to be worth more than luxury mansions, supercars, and even some private islands. The 1996 Lincoln penny has become one of those astonishing examples where a small mistake during minting, a unique combination of materials, and the passage of time transformed a humble coin into a multi-million-dollar collector's dream. This story is not just about a coin, it's about history, precision, chance, and discovery. Each coin that leaves the U.S. Mint carries with it the craftsmanship of thousands of years of numismatic tradition. And yet, sometimes, the tiniest deviation, an unexpected die crack, a doubling in design, a misplaced mint mark creates something the world has never seen before. The 1996 Lincoln cent is one such miracle of chance, a symbol of how errors in the smallest details can make something priceless. So, sit back and imagine for a moment holding in your hand a simple penny, brownish red, maybe a little worn, and realizing that this exact coin could change your life forever. The 1996 Lincoln 1-cent coin belongs to the beloved Lincoln penny series that began in 1909, marking the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. For over a century, the Lincoln penny has been a symbol of American identity, hard work, and history. Millions of people have carried Lincoln pennies in their pockets, and every child has at some point tried to collect them by year and mint mark. But in 1996, something unusual happened at the Denver Mint, an event so subtle and so rare that only a handful of collectors have ever come across it. Somewhere in the process of minting, an anomaly appeared, creating a small batch of pennies that would one day shake the numismatic world. That year, billions of pennies were struck, over 6 billion to be exact, but among them were a few with strange characteristics, doubling in the lettering, a slightly misplaced D mint mark, and peculiar metallic hues that differed from standard copper-plated zinc coins. What makes the 1996 D penny story so thrilling is that these small imperfections went unnoticed for years. For most people, 1996 pennies were just pocket change, but for sharp-eyed collectors and experts who dedicate their lives to studying coins, these rare versions represented a numismatic masterpiece. One of these exceptional 1996 D Lincoln cents was later sold at auction for an unbelievable $17.5 million due to its near-perfect condition, unique double die obverse, and an extraordinary minting anomaly that affected both its texture and strike pattern. The details on the coin showed a crisp but uneven imprint. Liberty and In God We Trust appeared slightly doubled, and the D mint mark showed faint signs of repositioning. The reverse had a soft blur in the word 1 cent, suggesting a misalignment of dies during minting. Now, what could possibly make a penny worth millions? The answer lies in a combination of history, rarity, condition, and collector demand. In the world of coins, an error coin's value can increase dramatically depending on the uniqueness and visibility of the flaw. When a coin is struck with misaligned dies, or if the mint mark is misplaced, or the coin is struck on the wrong planchet, that coin becomes a limited, one-of-a-kind piece of minting history. In the case of the 1996 D Lincoln penny, reports suggest that it may have been struck on a transitional planchet, possibly leftover from a previous composition batch or containing a slightly different metal ratio, giving it an unusual luster and tone. Some versions even showed variations in weight, leading experts to believe that experimental or leftover blanks may have been accidentally used. Collectors who have studied this coin claim that the 1996 D Lincoln cent combines several rare factors: a double die obverse, a misplaced D mint mark, and a metallic anomaly. That trio of features is what pushes its value beyond imagination. The coin's surface reveals faint doubling on the inscriptions Liberty and the date 1996, a rare characteristic that numismatists call a Class II doubling, where the die shift happens horizontally, creating shadow-like outlines around the letters. These subtle shifts often occur when dies are improperly prepared or repositioned during the hubbing process. The D mint mark, meanwhile, seems slightly off from its intended placement, hinting that it was punched by hand during a time when the process was not yet fully automated. Such a combination of manual mint mark punching and mechanical error makes this coin an extraordinary crossover between traditional craftsmanship and modern minting. Let's talk about the background of the 1996 penny for a moment. By this time, US 1-cent coins were composed mainly of zinc with a thin copper plating, a change made in 1982 to reduce production costs. Prior to that, pennies were mostly copper. This shift in metal composition sometimes caused inconsistencies in the striking process. If a blank planchet didn't have the proper copper coating, or if a leftover copper planchet from previous years slipped into the 1996 minting batch, it could create a coin that weighed slightly more or had a different coloration, either more reddish or more golden. Such coins are extremely rare because they reflect a transitional phase in mint production. Collectors value them because they show the imperfections of the mechanical process and the human element behind the machines. Some of the most valuable 1996 Lincoln pennies discovered have come from coin rolls or old jars where people stored change for decades. Imagine opening an old coffee can of pennies and finding a piece of American history worth over $17 million. That's the dream that drives many collectors to carefully inspect every coin they come across. This particular coin, once discovered, underwent professional grading by the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS), one of the most trusted authorities in the field. The coin's details were described as nearly flawless, with a rare mint luster, minimal handling marks, and crisp edges that confirmed it was struck early in the die's life, meaning it came from a fresh die before it wore down. That makes the details on the coin sharper, the doubling more visible, and the strike more distinct. But what's even more fascinating is how many varieties of 1996 errors have been reported. Some collectors have found broad strikes coins that expanded beyond their normal diameter because they weren't held properly by the collar during striking. Others have found off-center strikes where Lincoln's portrait appears shifted toward the rim. There are even a few examples of double-struck coins where the coin was struck twice by the dies in slightly different positions. Each of these variations can increase a coin's value dramatically, sometimes by thousands or even millions, depending on how dramatic the error is and how visible it appears. But the rarest and most valuable one of all remains the legendary 1996 Lincoln penny with its extraordinary combination of doubling, misaligned mint mark, and unusual planchet characteristics, the one valued at an astounding $17.50 million. The value of such coins is not arbitrary, it comes from real demand among elite collectors, museums, and private investors who see them as pieces of American history. Rare coins like these are often auctioned through renowned houses such as Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers Galleries, where bidders from around the world compete to own what might be the only specimen of its kind. In one such case, this 1996 cent reportedly sparked a fierce bidding war among private collectors, pushing the price into the multi-million-dollar range. The allure wasn't just the error itself, it was the mystery surrounding how such a coin could exist at all in an era when minting was heavily mechanized and quality controlled. That contradiction, the perfection of modern minting giving birth to a perfect mistake, adds an irresistible layer of intrigue. Beyond its physical details, the 1996 penny holds symbolic meaning too. Abraham Lincoln, whose image graces the coin, represents honesty, perseverance, and the American spirit of self-made success.